The question that I am answering for the final group project is how do the 5 dimensions of cultural life affect our communication? So the first is individualism and collectivism, which refers to the extent to which members of a culture understand themselves as a part of and connected to their families, groups, and cultures. It's very high in the US, and people tend to think of themselves as individuals who act relatively independently. The face of the individual is more important in these cultures, and I personally would say that I follow the pattern of individualism that is seen in the US. I'm a very independent person, and I believe that my actions and my thoughts make me me, not who my parents or family are. I make my own decisions, and I'm my own person despite who my family is. For uncertainty avoidance, it refers to the extent to which people want to avoid ambiguity and vagueness. I personally would say I fall in line with Poland and South Korea, where people like to have everything spelled out very explicitly in order to avoid misunderstandings. I believe that ambiguity and vagueness lead to disorganization and unproductivity. I think that everything needs to be spelled out so everyone understands what's going to happen and there are no surprises. This allows for more effective work and life in general. For power distance, it refers to the size of the gap between people with high and low power and to the extent which that is regarded as normal. Cultural differences in power distance may lead to misunderstandings. A Ugandan immigrant to the United States interpreted the relatively casual and egalitarian relationship between professors and students as rudeness. So I agree with the US's general stance on power distance. Going up and having a casual conversation with my professor is something I have experienced many times. I would even go to office hours just to have a conversation with my professors. For masculinity and femininity, it refers to the extent to which a culture values aggressiveness, competitiveness, looking out for yourself, and dominating others in nature, which are typically associated with men, versus gentleness, cooperation, taking care of others, and living in harmony with the natural world, which tend to be associated with women. So I believe that the US is very much a masculine culture, as it is very aggressive and competitive. That is for women and men. It has become necessary in our culture in order to survive. If you are not aggressive, then you won't get the job. They want people who are willing to fight for it. And personally, I do think I'm a very competitive person, but I wouldn't say I'm an aggressive person. For long-term and short-term orientation, this is the extent to which members of a culture think about long-term versus short-term. The U.S. is a short-term country. In contrast, living for the moment, not saving for a rainy day, and not having as much respect for elders and ancestors are more likely to be found in cultures with short-term orientation, like the U.S. The focus on today and now is so prevalent that it embodies our work too. We are measured on a short-term basis at work, and that makes us work harder. Even not having as much respect for our elders compared to other countries is a big one. I am a short-term oriented person as well. I like to live in the moment and worry about the rest later.